Hi everybody. I feel like the weight of the world is on my shoulders because I stand between you and your lunch, so I will try and cut back on my presentation. But as Jonathan said, I'm Clare Duffy. I work for Family Carers Ireland, and to the professor who referred to us, we are the people who have Ireland's only dedicated young carer project, and delighted to do that. So, who are Family Carers Ireland? Again, this is one of the things I'm going to speed up. We have a motto in Family Carers Ireland. We exist for one reason and one reason only. It is to make sure that no one has to care alone. I leave it at that. That's what we do. And no one should have to feel alone, because in Ireland at the minute we have 750,000 family carers. They would fill Croke Park 9 times over. So you shouldn't feel alone, and it's our job on family carers to make sure that you don't have to care alone. Okay, I want to be positive in my presentation today. There are so many good things that are happening for carers at the minute. I've worked in this sector for 17 years, and actually the strides that we have made for carers in the last 5 years are enormous. So thousands more people are now entitled to carers allowance because of the change in the income disregard, and we expect that to go up again next week. Ireland, there's no other country in the world that has more generous carer leave entitlements than we do in Ireland. They come to Ireland to study us. I'm from Tyrone. We don't have a single entitlement to a day off in the north of carers leave. They're fighting to get 2 weeks. We have 2 years for each cared for person. I'm going to look at that in a little bit more detail. And since the 1st of January last year, we have a new pension system that protects long-term carers from pension disadvantage. So I'm really quickly going to run through those. So carers allowance. Carers allowance is a weekly payment. It's €260 per week. It's €298 if you're over the age of 66. If you care for 2 people, you get €390. And if you care for 2 people when you're over 66, you get €447. The lovely thing about carers allowance is the little perks that come with it. And the first is the annual carer support grant. It's a grant that appears in your bank account like magic on the first Thursday in June for €2,000. You get a GP visit card, a special one, a carer GP visit card. You're entitled to the household benefits package, which is a credit that appears again like magic on your ESB bill. I know I need glasses now because I'm actually having to take a step. I can hardly see it. You're entitled to the free travel pass as well, so you can get on the bus or the train and go wherever you want and not pay. And also there's another lovely thing, which is this energy grant you get to upgrade the insulation in your home, which few people know about. I just want to say with the first one there, the Carers Support Grant, if you're someone who cares full-time for someone, but you don't or heretofore haven't satisfied the means test, you can get that grant as a standalone payment. And every time I've spoken at this event, this is my 3rd time, and they've asked me back, and that doesn't happen very often, so I'm delighted. But you can get that grant as a standalone payment. You just fill in the form, and it comes once a year if it didn't satisfy the means test for carers allowance. Okay, so we know that the big problem for decades with carers allowance is the fact that it's means tested. You only get it if your household income is below a certain level, and that's actually what's changing. So in order to get carers allowance, you have to satisfy each of these 6 criteria, and this government, in their new programme for government, published in January, have said they're going to get rid of the means test. They're going to abolish it over the term of this government. And actually we hear from Minister Dara Cleary that on Tuesday's budget there is going to be a significant increase in the income disregard. So it means that more and more people are entitled to the carers allowance. Okay, so just to give you an idea, if you're a single person, as it stands today, the first €625 per week of your income is ignored. That doesn't mean if you're earning €700 you're not getting carers allowance. It just means you'll get less carers allowance. If you're a couple, it's €1,250 per week. This is unheard of. This is groundbreaking with social welfare, that we can have a means-tested payment that is that generous. So you could have someone come to me today and say, well, look, my husband or my wife earns €1,500 per week. Will I qualify for the carers allowance? And I'll say, yeah, you will. You mightn't get the full amount of it, but you'll get it, and you'll get all the perks that come with it. So again, as I've mentioned, we are really hopeful on Tuesday that our asks for that income disregard to be increased to €1,500 are going to be heard. In fact, there's rumours in the media that it's going to go up to €1,600 per week. The other really important thing to say with the means test, any social welfare payment coming into the house is ignored. Okay, so the takeaway for you guys today is don't be afraid of the means test for carers allowance, okay? I have another slide about the capital. You're allowed to have a few bob in the bank and still get carers allowance. In fact, if you're part of a couple and you've 100 grand in the bank or assets at 100 grand, the first thing we do is divide that by 2, which is 50 grand, and the first 50 is disregarded, so that 100 grand isn't going to make one bit of odds to you, okay? Just with a half-rate carers allowance, I'm actually going to fly through this. I'm really going to fly through this. And all I want to do is to say that there's this really weird payment in our social welfare system in Ireland called the half-rate. And it's the one time in social welfare that you're allowed 2 social welfare payments. You're allowed 2. It breaks the rules. It was the late Seamus Brennan that introduced this. So if we imagine this couple here, Bob is caring for his wife Betty. They're both getting the state pension and contributory. But actually Bob, because he cares for Betty, is entitled to a half-rate carers allowance on top of that, and all the perks come to Bob as well. Okay, so that you'll always be financially better off on the half rate than you are on the full rate, which is in itself is strange. I want to talk very briefly about an incredibly important scheme that we have in Ireland, and I'm shocked at how few people know about it. So in the same way that a pregnant woman takes maternity leave from work and gets paid maternity benefit for 26 weeks, in Ireland we have this gorgeous piece of legislation called the Carers Leave Act 2001. Imagine we were so forward-thinking way back then. But it allows carers who have caring responsibilities to leave work for up to 2 years and get paid carers benefit while they're on it. It's incredible, but so few people know about it. You get carers benefit, it's again €261 per week. If you care for 2 people, you get €391 per week on your carers benefit, or if you care for 2 people, you can choose to phase it out. You can take 104 weeks for the first person, get paid carers benefit, then take another 104 weeks for the second person, and again, there's perks come with that, okay? It is the most fabulous scheme, and the people that benefit from it, you know, the 2 years very often isn't enough, but there's no other country in the world that has that provision. It's not means tested, it's based on your PRSI record. So you're allowed to work, when you're on carers leave and receiving carers benefit, imagine you're actually allowed to work. You're allowed to work up to 18 and a half hours a week. But if you do work up to 18 and a half hours a week, you're not allowed to earn more than €625 through that work. And since the 1st of January this year, self-employed people are also eligible. The other lovely thing about carers benefit and carers leave is you can take them in blocks of 13 weeks. You don't have to take the 104 weeks all in one big go. So parents of children with additional needs, for example, might take 13 weeks for the summer holidays. If they do take it that way, they get the carer support grant on the first Thursday in June, and they'll probably get the whole of primary school out of it because that'll spread out over 8 years. The other exceptional thing about carers benefit is that it's exportable. So if you're a Polish chef working in Cork City and you're working in a restaurant and paying your PRSI here in Ireland, but your mother back in Poland needs care, you can take carers leave from the restaurant in Cork, get carers benefit, and off you go back to Poland for 2 years to care for your mum. The money comes with you. That's really unusual, actually. And just to say that even though carers leave and carers benefit go hand in glove, they are 2 separate schemes with two different sets of rules. Just coming to the end, you'll be delighted because I'm flying through this. But we also, since 2023, have a lovely new piece of legislation called the Work-Life Balance and Miscellaneous Provisions Act. It started its life in Europe as the EU Directive for Parents and Carers. And I keep reminding people of that because it's in its original form, it had the word carer in the title, and I love that. But since last year, this new act allows carers the right to request flexible working from their employer. Strangely, it doesn't grant you the right to flexible working, but if you're refused, they have to give you a really good reason why. And the other really important thing about this act is it gives 5 unpaid carer leave days per year. That's separate to what I've just talked about, the 104 weeks. So each one of us, if we care for someone, we are entitled to 5 unpaid leave days from work in order to provide care to someone. So that might be bringing them to a medical appointment. I'm very conscious I have one of the presidential candidates there are 2 other presidential candidates as well as the one in the picture, I'll say. But finally, I'm going to just mention this very briefly. We have talked about, I'm just going to put all that up in one go. For years, we talked about the pension disadvantage that carers, the majority women, faced because of their years out of the workforce providing care. And that is something that was a huge, I suppose, injustice that I felt for so many years because I was meeting these people, I was meeting these women. From the 1st of January last year, there's a new scheme called the Long-Term Carer Contribution Scheme. If you have cared for over 20 years, those 20 plus years will be treated as if you were in full-time employment paying PRSI. The rule that affects all the rest of it is called the 10-year rule. You have to have 520 paid contributions in order to get your toe in the door of eligibility for the state pension contributory is gone for those carers. So you would have an entitlement to the state pension contributory without ever having paid a single PRSI. If you have paid PRSI, it'll be added onto your years of caregiving. So this is huge. This is absolutely huge. And just to say, because a lot of you are thinking, well, what about the people who didn't care for more than 20 years? We have really good systems. The homemaker scheme, it's another one called home caring periods within our existing pension provision that protects carers caring for a shorter period of time. But just to say, there is no such thing as pension disadvantage anymore for carers. Any gaps or white spaces in your PRSI record are going to be filled, okay? But it's really important that you put your hand, I have examples of how that works, and I won't do it to you. So I'll simply tell you how to apply for those long-term carer contributions, or indeed the homemaker scheme or the home caring periods that allow you to plug those shorter gaps. And it's really important you do this. Very often, the Department of Social Protection and government don't know that you exist as a carer. And this new family carer register that the department created 2 years ago is your opportunity to put your hand in the air and say, hello, I'm a carer, and I have been caring. I started caring in the year 2000. It allows you to go right back retrospectively and record your periods of caregiving, so that when you do reach retirement age, all of those white spaces in your record are plugged. Okay, so no more pension disadvantage for family carers. So I have flown through that. Fair play to you for keeping up with me. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.